Welcome to the LA Goals podcast, Success Uncovered, featuring LA's most successful game changers. I'm your host, Essie Magic, and today I am joined by Athena Ng, and we are going to talk about how to get brand partnerships as an influencer. Athena, welcome to the show.
Hi, Essie. I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you for inviting.
Yeah, we're so excited. Let's get right into it. I'd love for you to tell us about yourself and your business.
So, hi everyone. My name is Athena, and I'm a fashion and beauty influencer. And I started my own blog since 2016, so almost 4 years ago. And I didn't see it as I I was just from the beginning. I didn't think it was a thing. It was a huge thing. I was just writing blogs and share the fashion trend that I love. And back to 2012. I don't know if you heard of Senga.
No, I haven't.
No, it's pretty much like MySpace, but it's more tailored and long blog that you can write about, and you can even design your own website. And I had a fever with Senga, and that's how I really dig into writing blogs and sharing stuff. And that's basically how I start my blog journey. And then I went to school in University of Washington. Oh, by the way, I was born and raised in Hong Kong, and then I started my high school year in Sacramento, California, and then I got accepted in University of Washington, and then I was majoring in PR and communication, and that's how I found I really like to talk, and social media was a huge thing back to 2012, and and then I used to fly down to LA once a week just to see what's going on, and that's how I build my community in LA. And once I see my following start rising up, and brands started to email me, and I started to talk with more PRs down in LA because there's more local brands down there. And I started to attend more events, more networking events, and that's how I became here. That's why I'm here.
Cool. And so you go back and forth between Hong Kong and LA right now. Tell us about the differences and things you've learned in terms of the influencer culture between there and here.
I would say it's so much different. In LA, people are more laid back and chill about it, and I feel like everyone is doing the same thing. But in Hong Kong, people are more treated like a real it's not a real business, and they would say, "Oh, is that a thing?" I don't know how. Is that a thing? They think that Instagram is just a photo sharing app, which I 100% agree. So they didn't know the story behind it. They would just think about, oh, Athena just posting about a picture with her outfit. She didn't know like the story behind it. So so it's much different, and it's it.
Interesting. So they don't realize it can be a career, pretty much. Oh,
Yes.
got it. So yeah, you mentioned Instagram. So you started with blogging. How did you transition to Instagram, or was it just a natural? Because obviously most people think of influencers, they tend to think of Instagram first these days. And so that sort of transition from blogging to Instagram, how did that go about? Was it immediate, or was it slowly over time you started posting more on Instagram?
That's a really good question. So for blogging, I can post several pictures on there. And then for Instagram, I feel like I have to post the best picture, and I have to drag the best picture from my blog. So that's kind of transitioning from blogging and Instagram, and people have much less time than before. They spend more time on their phone than on the computer. So and then I realized that, and I started to to transition from blogging and photo to Instagram.
Got it. And now you probably post on Instagram like multiple times a week versus the blogging you
Yes.
would
Oh,
release at one per week or something.
yeah. Yes. It's almost like a ritual. I have to post on a daily basis on Instagram, and
Yeah.
probably blogging once or twice a month.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. So you don't have to
Mm,
blog as much as before.
right.
Interesting. So, because I know that getting started is such a difficult time for most people. Can you talk about, what point you really started to see your followers go up and seeing that traction? Just because I know some people get discouraged. They're posting and it takes a while. It's slow to pick up. Can you talk about that sort of growth you had?
Yeah. So my biggest advice would be slow doesn't mean slow means that you are moving, you are not stopping. The best way to do
Right.
it is the best way to learn is by doing it. So if you don't see, it doesn't happen in one day, and feedbacks getting back and forth. It's like playing ping pong. You have to reply, or you have to look at some other accounts that is similar to your style, and you have to make a comment, and then they don't really reply to you at first, but if you constantly doing it by posting quality comments, um, yeah, of positive feedback, even just by replying on their stories, they'll read it, and they will see you for both brands and creators that you think that they inspire you, and then eventually their PRs will just email you and say hi to you.
Yeah, I love the point you mentioned about as long as you're still moving, right? I think
Right.
people forget about that. They think, oh, it's moving slow, but you're actually still making progress. You know what I mean? It's better than nothing, right? So I really love that point that you made. Also, too, like with photos, because on Instagram nowadays, people are using such professional photos. They have photographers who go with them and do shoots. At the beginning, were you just taking pictures yourself, or were you getting a professional photographer, or what was the mix there?
No, it's interesting because I used to have a roommate that she was really into cameras, and she would go crazy. She got so excited every time she discovered the internet. I was very lucky that I and we used to take photos for each other, and she was really into fashion. So yeah, she's a blogger too.
Got it. Okay. And just for the listeners at home, Athena is currently in Hong Kong right now. So if you hear some connection issues, we apologize for that. um, yeah, so that sounds really interesting. So you were able to, fortunately, you had a roommate who was able to help you with the photos early on. Do you have any tips for people who maybe just have their iPhone and they're like, oh, what do I do? Do you have any tips for people just using their phone?
Yeah, well, actually, iPhone takes really good photos. It's all about angles. It doesn't have to do with your height or your shape or anything like that. 5'2", and it's all about the practicing. Just train your friends. That's that's what I do all the time.
Yeah, I love that phrase you mentioned. It's all about angles. That could be on a t-shirt, literally.
Right. I know it may sound cliche, but really, it's all about the angles and
Yeah,
the filters that you use.
got it. Yeah, definitely. So what would you say overall led to your success?
Um,
If you had to narrow
it's
down.
no doubt. It's all about mentality and the things that you receive. It's based on how you react.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Hmm.
Uh, um, so I do want to get into partnerships because that's a big part of this episode. So you've worked with FabFitFun, you've partnered with Pixie Beauty. You've been brand ambassador for Revolve, Urban Decay, and more. I know the list goes on. Can you give some advice to the listeners on how you actually go about getting these partnerships?
Yes, of course. So brands don't usually accept paid partnership at first. They usually, especially for bigger brands, they would offer a gift campaign to start with. That's just to test the water. And then once they get more valuable contents from you, they would start paying you. So as a full-time blogger, I value my time quality for my contents, and therefore, I think right now there's more PR companies. They will build up a community to between bloggers and the brands, and I see my feed as an advertising platform. So I would say, so back to your question, are you asking about how to get started?
Yeah, how to, like, even with the outreach, do you contact the brands first, or do they contact you? Are you part of any networks that could help you, or do you have an agent? I think some of the listeners would love to hear how the communication with the brands gets started.
Mm. Yeah, well, I currently have my social media manager to manage my emails and
Nice.
outreach, and yeah, and on my own, I also do more outreach from the network or from the friends that I know in LA. From the beginning, I did everything. I did everything on my own. I did all the proofreading, the blog, yeah. I still do it on my own. The blog post and the caption on Instagram. It's just that sometimes I just need someone to take care of my emails and responding. Yeah.
Got it. I like the point you mentioned early on about how they should be willing to post for free at first, to build
Mm-hmm.
the relationship with the brand, right? Because unless you're somebody who has, 1 million followers or 500,000 followers, brands will usually want to test you out first if you're just getting started, or you're newer, or you're still up and coming or growing. So that's such a good point about being willing to, you know, uh, take projects on for free. And then as you get to, 10K and up, then you start charging. Is that correct, what I said?
Yes. Yes.
Cool. And then, so in terms of the outreach, do you ever cold contact companies, or do the companies all find you?
I would say 50 and 50. At first, when I started to see brands are reaching out to me, I was thinking on a business side, as a creator, you have to reach out to the potential clients as well. So otherwise, if you sit here and just wait, that it doesn't happen.
Right.
So yeah, so on the ratio, you have to, as a company, I would say, you have to outreach. For example, like 100 emails in a day, you probably just get 10 or one.
Right.
So yeah, I would say outreach more emails than waiting them to reach out to you.
Right. That's a good
Mm.
point, because they're not just going to fall in your lap. Especially when you're first starting. When you
Right.
when you message them, do you feel intimidated? What do you usually say? Do you just say, "Hi, my name is Athena. I'm a blogger and Instagrammer, and I do this." How do you usually go about talking to them?
I usually just let my social media manager to do it, Maggie. I feel like as a outreaching as a third person would be easier.
That's a good point. I know what you mean. It makes you seem like bigger, right?
For some
If,
reason.
yeah, like if you have an assistant or you have somebody, a representative for you, I think that makes it seem like you're very legit and you're very credible, I would
Right.
say, right?
Yeah, never thought about that now. Now it makes more sense.
It's true though, because I actually have noticed that as well. It's like, because I've had different people work with me on different projects, and I notice
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when I send emails from just myself versus when they are sending them, then I get more response when they send than versus when I directly send.
Ah.
Yeah, it makes it look like you're more, credible, or you have clout or whichever. So I think that's a good strategy.
Yep. Tips for you guys.
Yeah.
Taking notes.
And then you won an award, I believe, in 2018. Can you tell us a bit about that award that you won?
Oh yeah. I was nominated in the Influencers Award Monaco 2 years ago. I was surprised. I didn't get the reward, but I was nominated as a
Oh,
lifestyle
okay.
influencer. So it was the first edition, back to 2018, and then this year they got postponed or they did it virtually. I met a lot of like celebrity influencers there, and
Nice.
yeah, it was a really great experience. Everyone got so dressed up, and it almost like a mini Oscar there.
Cool.
So
Do you find that networking has also helped you in terms of, meeting different brands? It's just at events and things like that. You meet them and you introduce yourself.
yes. I think attending events and um, award events like this will make you a huge difference. You're gonna make a lot of friends and a lot of great network there. That's also one thing I like about LA is that there's always something going on. As long as you go out and put yourself out there, you're gonna meet someone.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, people have seen too on my YouTube channel that I've gone to so many events, and I always recommend that as well, to just get out there. And that's the great thing about LA. So there's so much going on here that you can always find. I mean, now it's harder with the virus, but before that, it was, there was always tons of ways to get yourself out there. How would you find like inspiration for some of your posts? Do you go to certain, like, do you have certain favorite places you go and shop around LA, or how do you find your looks for your blog?
For my blog.
Yeah. Or even Instagram too.
Yeah, on Instagram, I you mean like the creators that I've been following, or
So you have really good, like when I look at your Instagram, I see some really cute outfits, and I see I see you're very good at accessorizing, and I just wonder how you get your fashion inspiration.
I really appreciate the Instagram has a new feature on the save button. So I just look on my new feed, and then I just see the the influencers that I follow or the brands that I follow, and then I'll just save whoever won that outfit, and I just do mix and match, and then I would picture myself, oh, if I would look good in this.
Yeah, and LA has a lot of Instagrammable spots too to take pictures, like
Yes.
downtown and things like that. Um, I want to ask you in terms of like when you're working with the partnerships, how do you decide, especially when you like you said the early stages where you might be doing something for free, how do you prove yourself to them? Do you um, just do an Instagram story? Do you do a full post or a whole blog post about them? What are some of the things that you would do to impress a brand?
Um, it depends what kind of brands. If it's a skincare brand, I probably do a short video, like 30 seconds on Instagram. Um, for a post for free, I don't usually offer a blog post because I feel like a paid partnership would deserve a long, detailed blog post. But to test the water on each side, I would say short videos and or a slideshow on Instagram
Mm,
post.
yep.
That would be great. Yeah, and be also be mindful on the caption. You have to be specific, not just by sharing a personal experience. And that's really key to impress a brand.
Cool. So that actually wraps up part one of this episode. In part two, we're going to talk about partnership no-nos, any sort of mistakes that you think people shouldn't make, how to decide if a brand deal is good for you. Also would love to get some tips about during the quarantine and still getting work during the quarantine, as well as tips for success. So for those of you listening, if you could head over to lagoals.com for part two.